Does Cincinnati have any idea what it's walking into on Thursday night? That's next.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year.
All right, welcome everybody. Connor Happer, Mitch Sherman with you on the Locked On Nebraska podcast, where it is game day eve. It is Wednesday. We are just a little bit more than, or Tuesday. We're just a little bit, no, it's Wednesday. We're just a little bit more than 24 hours out from Nebraska's first game. And yes, believe it or not, there are still lingering questions. If you are one of our YouTube viewers, I am in a different place. Mitch asked me, "What are you doing? Why are you in a different place?" I can't really. I just got a wild hair and I started moving stuff around, and I want to see how this went. I'm getting a little mobile. You know, football season's coming up. Maybe we're doing pods from foreign locations coming up soon. So I wanted to stay nimble before the season starts. I'm in my basement.
My wife does that, where I just come home and like an entire room is rearranged. Yeah, it's kind of what's going on here on the show on this.
I like
Wednesday,
moving the couches from now and then, just changing it up, getting a little new feng shui in there. So that's exactly what's going on with this. We have still remaining questions before Nebraska's first game on Thursday night in Kansas City. In fact, we have 5 of them. 5 questions to prepare you best for Nebraska Cincinnati on Thursday night.
That's right. So this is it. This is the last go round with questions about the opener. On Thursday, we will have a show for your pregame viewing and listening enjoyment, and we will be making predictions about the 2025 season for Nebraska and this season opener in particular. We'll probably also look at one game in the Big Ten and one game nationally. I wonder what that game. Well, those could be the same games.
Yeah.
So we'll take a second game from the Big Ten because the national game is going to be Ohio State, Texas, and we'll give a pick on that. We're not going to go through a long list of picking all Big Ten games like we've done in the past. So, and special for you on this show, we have an abbreviated mailbag. So we said no mailbag this week because Friday is normally when we do it, and we're going to be reacting to Nebraska's season opening result. But a few of you still sent in questions, and we just felt like we needed to do something with that. So we've got that coming up in the final segment of this show. But first, 5 questions for Thursday night. Question number 1, as I teased in the cold open, does Cincinnati have any idea, Connor, what it's walking into as far as the Arrowhead environment? I'm not talking about the level of play that Nebraska is going to bring. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the Arrowhead environment and the possibility of 65,000 screaming Nebraska fans in what is reputed to be the loudest NFL stadium in America. It seems, well, I'll let you say what it seems like. Did you see Scott Satterfield's comments from Tuesday?
Yeah. My guess would be that he's trying to downplay it a little bit. Trying to tell us guys, come on, we played on the road before. It's not that big of a deal.
But he said it's going to be a neutral environment that doesn't favor either team.
Yeah, he knows that's not true. He's well aware. Cincinnati officials have been well aware who's buying the tickets to this game throughout this period of time. So he knows what it's going to sound like. And so my response is Cincinnati ready for that? No, because I don't think he can be. Like I just don't think they can be. What impact might it have on the game? I don't know. Other than you walk in and you kind of get a little wide-eyed, but I think that might be the case for both teams. It's special. Yeah. It's unique. It's different. So does it have to work out as a positive for Nebraska? Not necessarily.
Oh, you're right. It could backfire.
Yeah. I think it's super duper unique. And And when you bring 70,000 people to a game 3 hours down the road, there's a little bit of pressure that comes along with that too. So I don't think they're probably prepared for it. Maybe they're staying purposefully, blissfully ignorant. But I also don't know that it makes a huge difference.
That would be the concern if I was Scott Satterfield and I was playing this card where you act like it's a neutral site game. In name only, it is a neutral site game. And you have players on your team, because if he's doing the same thing behind closed doors that he's doing publicly, then when his players show up, and if, this is a big if momentum goes in favor of Nebraska at the beginning, that's when it gets really, really jarring for Cincinnati, because all of a sudden it's like a Chiefs game and the noise is reverberating off the metal in the stadium and it sounds like your worst nightmare if you're Cincinnati. It's kind of wild because it's not an enclosed stadium and it's not a 90,000 or 100,000 seat stadium like you see at some places in college football, yet it undeniably is as loud as you're going to find just about anywhere in America. So something about the Arrowhead acoustics could be really, really bad for the Bearcats, especially if they're not prepared for it. If you're going to Memorial Stadium at Nebraska, if you're going to LSU, if you're going to Clemson, whatever, Ohio State, you prepare for a road game. And I'm sure Cincinnati's using crowd noise back at home, but I don't know. Satterfield is just, I think, banking that his team can start well. If you start well and you take the crowd out of it, it's like the crowd at Ohio State last year when Nebraska played there. The whole second half, it was a total non-factor because Nebraska was moving the ball and had momentum and people were sitting on their hands. There were 100,000 of them, and it almost energized. It energizes the Nebraska fans.
Yep.
The Nebraska players, that they shut all those people up. So Cincinnati could find itself in that spot too, if it comes out and plays well, and all these people who are dressed in red and ready to explode in favor of Nebraska can't do it. So it's an interesting topic and a dynamic that could work in a number of different ways.
Yeah, but ultimately, I mean, you mentioned it. It's about how well you play and how buttoned up you are. So I think that'll be obviously the biggest piece of the game. I just don't think that will play that much of a factor. Maybe Nebraska fans will take that as a challenge and they'll try to make it the loudest thing that's ever happened, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think it has the potential to be a huge factor. If Cincinnati gets backed into an end zone because of a penalty or a sack or something like that, and Sorsby can't communicate with his receivers and his offensive linemen, like I think it can be every bit as big of an advantage as what a Nebraska opponent faces walking into Memorial Stadium. And maybe, just maybe, if they're not prepared for it, it can be worse for Cincinnati because it's a season opener too.
Question number 2. This is assuming normal circumstances, right? You're not in an abnormal situation. Nebraska takes over on 1st and 10 on their own 25-yard line, let's say. Yeah. They play the first possession of the game. Dana Holgorsen's the offensive coordinator. How do you script the start? What do you want to do on the first possession to get yourself going a little bit and get everybody involved?
If my memory is correct, boy, the last time that Nebraska played at Arrowhead Stadium was in a Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma.
2006, yeah.
You got to go way back. And I think it fumbled the opening kickoff and then recovered it like inside the 5-yard line, and the field was frozen. So one of those two things will not happen on Thursday night. The field will not be frozen. But that's a situation where the script has to kind of go out the window. So we're talking here about, like you said, normal circumstances. How does Dana do this? You've probably been thinking about it for quite a while. What do you do to start the season? Are you riding Emmett Johnson? You gonna send a message and try to use that big offensive line, that powerful offensive line, and show who's the Big Ten team, the big physical team from the physical league? Or are you going to lean on what is the perceived strength of what is the strength of your quarterback and let him make some smart decisions and throw the ball around a little bit?
Yeah. So by the way, checking this out, I don't know what happened on the kickoff, but Nebraska started in that 06 Big 12 championship game. Gosh, I don't remember this. That's a great call by you. They started the drive in their own 9. And on the first
turnover
play of the drive, they fumbled. Yeah. First play of the drive, they fumbled. Oklahoma scored less than a minute later and took a 7-0 lead, 50 seconds into the game. So that was not good.
Yeah.
That was not a good thing.
Yeah, there was a mistake on the kickoff return to start at the 9. It was like one of those oh no disaster moments right out of the gate. Yeah.
Oh no disaster. Okay, so let's not repeat that one again for Nebraska on Thursday. Yeah, I think Dana's going to do his thing. Like the thing that is awesome about him is that the calling of the plays, the sequential nature in which he does it, it just seems to come really naturally to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the scripted part of the game. This is where Satterfield was fine.
Pretty good.
Right?
Yeah,
he was fine. So I think you really see the
Marcus Satterfield we're talking about.
Yes, not Scott. Yes, Marcus, Nebraska's former offensive coordinator. So where you really get the benefits of having Dana Holgorsen is throughout the remainder of the game. But I think they'll probably want to move with a little bit of pace. They'll want to move with a little bit of tempo, and I think they'll want to probably try and get everybody involved. Get Dylan some easy throws, get him in a rhythm. He's a rhythm guy. So I think they'll be hopefully a pretty good split in what they do from a run pass ratio. And, ideally you could go all the way down the field and score that thing in 10, 11, 12 plays. That would be a dream start for them.
I go back to Dana talking a lot this fall camp about routine plays and the importance of Nebraska just executing the routine plays, the 4 and 5 yard gains. And he feels that this is an offense that's set up to be able to do that well. And then if you lean on your opponent, the big one's going to come. Maybe you get 4 or 5 out of like 5 or 6 plays. You go 4 for 5 or 5 for 6 on getting routine gains to start a drive, and then boom, there's a 35-yard gain.
Yep.
And you're off. So I don't think they're going to go for something big at the beginning. I'll say they start with Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson's going to he's carrying the ball in the first play of the game, and pretty quickly, like on second down, no matter the situation, they're going to throw it. And who knows? Like, is Dylan going to look for Dane Key? Maybe, but tight end, Dane Key, Isaiah Hunt or something like that. You don't know until you see what the coverage is like. But
yeah,
that's my call for the script.
Some things to get some guys, going in the first, like 2, 3, 4 guys have catches on the first possession. Do
you get Ja'Cory Barney a touch on the opening possession? Like, do you scheme him a touch? Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
find a way to get that guy the ball. He's electric. Okay, we have questions 3, 4, 5 remaining, and questions from you all as we continue on a Wednesday Locked On Nebraska podcast. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why we're introducing Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface, or on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally, feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So once again, if you've fallen behind a little bit on your finances, Monarch is going to take care of that for you. The full visibility and control is the best part about it. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off of your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONCollege. And one more word from our friends at the FanDuel Sportsbook, where the NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So you're cooking yourself a nice little same-game parlay up for week 1, or as my advice would go, take the layup in week 1. Find an easy bet out there that you can cash in on, and you can turn that $5 into $300 in bonus bets, and then you're basically playing for free on the weekend. That's just one of the reasons to use FanDuel. Also, the convenience. It's quick and easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit more synergy to your Sunday afternoon. So if you're ready to play, now's the time. Download FanDuel right now by visiting FanDuel.com and getting started. FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet today.
Welcome back. Wednesday episode of the Locked On Nebraska podcast. Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer. We made it. We are, well, just about there. The next time you see us, it will be game day, Thursday. Kickoff 8 p.m. ESPN television. Arrowhead Stadium is the site for Nebraska versus Cincinnati. All right, we're going through questions ahead of this game, the final round of questions. We've got 3 more to go that we came up with, and then a few from you. Who is the 11th black shirt? That is question number 3. Nebraska revealed the black shirts on Monday. We saw 10, and there were really just 2 defensive linemen. Not really. There were 2 defensive linemen, Connor. You had Elijah Judy out there in a black practice jersey, and you had Cam Lenhart, the 2 most experienced, oldest players who are at that position group. Who's going to get the 3rd one? Is it as simple as to say, well, at the defensive tackle spot, Keona Davis is listed atop the depth chart that they just put out on Friday, so it's going to him?
I think he'd be the favorite. I can't tell you with any great certainty that it will be him. Actually, I can't tell you with any sort of great certainty that there will be an 11th black shirt.
So that rule indicated on Tuesday that there would be, that they would be giving someone a black shirt. Now, that could change if like they're not happy with the way that they don't feel that anybody's practicing up to the level of the black shirts, then they could certainly go into the opener with 10. But I expect that there will be an 11th.
Could I throw Riley Van Poppel into the mix?
Yeah, you certainly can. I mean, you could throw Williams Winery into that mix. It's a defensive line spot, and like the difference between the nose guard and the D tackle spot, I know there's a difference. Like I get it where they line up, but I feel like Judy, Van Poppel, and maybe Davis and Jalen George are a bit interchangeable. You know, Nash Hutmaker played the nose last year, and he was a perfect guy for that spot. If Nebraska has a perfect guy for that spot this year, to me, it seems like Van Poppel, because he's just the biggest. But he can play DT, like where Ty Steinkuhler played. There's what am I talking about? Ty Robinson.
To Baker Steinkuhler.
How did I go to Ty Steinkuhler? My gosh.
Ty Steinkuhler was a person, right? Like,
he was Baker's older brother.
Baker's brother, yeah.
From 20 years ago.
He was a walk-on. He played like defensive back, right?
Oh no.
No, Baker, because Baker was
a big guy. Baker was the big time recruit. Yeah,
Ty I felt like was an athlete, wasn't he?
He's a defensive lineman. Looks like he played in 08 his senior year. Yeah, 05 to 08, 04 to 08 from Lincoln Southwest. I am just dipping back 20 years.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Shout out
Ty Robinson.
Ty Steinkuhler, you're out there somewhere. I know.
Yeah, Ty Robinson. I met Ty Robinson. So, okay. I'm going to say it's Keona Davis. He's the 11th black shirt.
Okay. All right. Great.
But it could be Riley Van Poppel.
Yeah, I'll go Riley Van Poppel. For no particular reason other than I felt like I should pick a person there. Can Brendan Sorsby use Nebraska's defensive aggressiveness to his advantage? As you know, we talked about last week where Nebraska wants to be a little bit aggressive, especially downfield, the defensive backfield. Brendan Sorsby, he could throw it, he could run it. He's an athletic type of quarterback. How does that matchup look on Thursday?
Well, I think it's a concern. I think anytime you face a quarterback who's got the ability to run and has dual threat tendencies, then you're worried about being overly aggressive, not just on the edges in the way that you cover receivers, because it applies and hit to his escapability as well. And Nebraska has young players who are going to be coming off the edge. Not so much with Cam Lenhart, but with Keona Davis and with Williams-Nwaneri, these are guys who are going to be hunting for sacks. And that's what Nebraska wants from these players, to hunt for sacks. Same thing with Jordan Ochoa, coming from that Jack backer spot, a redshirt freshman. So you got 3 guys at those primary pass rush positions for Nebraska who are second-year college players. And I think you can use their aggressiveness against them if you have the right game plan and the right kind of blocking as the Cincinnati quarterback. So for me, that's something to watch. And I really liked, I may have said this, I don't know if I said it on your radio show or if I said this on the pod, but I really kind of came around on what you said last week about John Butler and his play right up to the line that you're allowed by the officials. For me, my initial reaction to that was to be concerned and say, oh, well, they're going to get all kinds of flags, which we've seen before. But I'd rather have that. I'd rather have them be aggressive than play soft in coverage.
100%.
And yeah, they're those guys are experienced enough back there on the back end that they're going to be able to figure it out. If you had a bunch of freshmen and sophomores playing in the defensive backfield, I would be a little bit more concerned going into the season about their ability to dial it up and dial it down as a game's going on.
Yeah, my concern is sort of at the beginning of what you said there. Nebraska is going to have some guys who are pretty hungry. They'll have the crowd behind them. They're going to be hunting a little bit for some sacks. I mean, there's been comparisons. We've compared it, this defense and the way that they want to play and sort of how it's set up to some old Big 12, Peso defenses. Those defenses were vulnerable against mobile quarterbacks. And mostly because, if you avoid that first sack, if you avoid that first guy running at you, then all of a sudden your receiver breaks a different direction and you got a guy, down the field. So Nebraska will have to be, it's a tricky position that they're in. I think they'll have to be disciplined as well as being aggressive at the same time. So they'll have to really monitor that against a quarterback that can beat you. He's a really good player. So I do think that's going to be a factor in this game.
Yeah. All right. Question 5. What's realistic in their Nebraska debuts for Kyle Cunanan, the kicker, and punting sensation Archie Wilson?
The greatest special teams game of all time by Nebraska football. No, I don't know. Just don't screw it up, I guess. Give me a couple made field goals. Give me a couple normal, or abnormal punts, whatever gets the job done. Just steady as she goes. That'd be my expectation.
Okay, I just thought of this as we were talking. I know they have Mark Jones and is it Roddy Jones?
Roddy Jones, yeah.
Roddy Jones doing the game in the booth. Do you know who the sideline reporter is?
Quint Kesnich.
I don't. Okay. Will Quint Kesnich be sitting with Archie Wilson's family at some point in this game?
Has to be. Yeah. Quint Kesnich is going to be embedded in the Wilson family this week at some point. It probably is already happening. By the time you're listening to this podcast, it's probably already happening.
There will be an appearance. I know nothing, but there will be an appearance by Archie Wilson's family during this broadcast, and probably a clip shown from the now infamous press conference moment,
or the Today Show, or the Australian Today Show. I mean, they have options.
Yeah, maybe the Aussie Today Show. They don't games on. Well, no, good morning. I'm sorry, I can't even get the words out. Good Morning America, which is in the ESPN, ABC, Disney family of networks.
That's true. Also
featured Archie, so they're definitely going GMA on the clip.
Yeah, you'd want to go that direction, but just a normal game. Don't punt it the wrong direction. That's all.
Yeah, don't expect too much. These guys are not superheroes, and Mike Eckler, despite how he may appear on television, is also not a superhero. He's not going to fly through the stadium. He will run out of the tunnel just like everyone else. So the special teams is going to be a strength, I think, for Nebraska this year. But we're not going to expect fireworks and 100-yard kickoff returns and punt returns for touchdowns and 70-yard punts and 60-yard field goals in week 1. Let's dial back the expectations just a bit on what Eckler's group is going to do. If they can contribute to a victory, if they can not cost Nebraska a victory, then you're taking a step in the right direction.
It's a good place to start. All right, when we come back, a mini mailbag. That's right. We couldn't get away for 1 week. Back after this.
We have an important request for you right now. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertisers. Go to lockedonpodcastsplural.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcasts.com/survey, or you can find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. And a message from SupplyHouse: when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects. Punting, as in Archie Wilson.
Nice.
While their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Wow, we got football analogies all over the place. If you need parts fast for a project, SupplyHouse has next day delivery. That is a game changer. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mitch Sherman with you here on the Locked On Nebraska podcast. Before we go any further, a thank you to you all for helping us grow this show this offseason. It's been a lot of fun to see that every day, the interaction. I mean, Mitch and I talk about this all the time when we're getting ready for the podcast or we're winding it up. We can't at whatever event that we're at, someone will say, I don't care about what you do with your normal job. I listen to the podcast every single day. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So thank you guys so much. It's been good. We're looking forward to our second football season here. Yeah.
Special shout out to all of the TV broadcasters in the Omaha and Lincoln markets who have made our podcast a destination. We hear from you guys all the time, and it blows us away that you're professionals at what you do, and you take 30 minutes out of your day and listen to us talk about this. So we're gonna have a fun season. We've had tremendous growth through this off season. It's also a time to let you know that if you're local and you want to sponsor this podcast, reach out to us. Send one of us a DM on Twitter, or just hit us up on email at lockedonneb@gmail.com. We have opportunities for you and can connect you with the Locked On sales team. So thank you again for listening, and we can't wait for the season ahead.
All right, let's get to your questions because we couldn't stay away for 1 week here. Did we answer this last week from Brendan about backup quarterbacks, confident in the backup quarterbacks to be able to run Dana's offense in the unfortunate moment?
Maybe we did, and I put it in a second time.
It rings a bell, but
I think we did have Brendan in plain view. Well, since last week, we've had a depth chart and seen that TJ Lateef is at number 2 on the chart. What he's asking is if we have confidence that Nebraska's backup QBs can run those routine plays if Dillon is forced to miss an extended time. So now knowing that Lateef is the guy, does it change at all how you feel? Because I think we were looking at this as Gramstad before.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I still, it's always hard for my brain to go there though, just because you don't know the circumstances in which you're going to be without your quarterback for whatever period of time it's going to be. So like the circumstances dictate all of that. So, but yeah, I think I have confidence in Dana Holgorsen as an offensive coach to put quarterbacks in a really good position. And I also think this offense is not quite as quarterback centric as it has been in the past. You know, like Nebraska's had some disasters at, second string quarterback in the event that Adrian Martinez went out or whatever it might have been. Mm-hmm. As a quarterback centric offense, the quarterback had to do everything. And I understand the quarterback's always going to be at the center of things, but you change the role to a little bit more of a point guard. And I think that's what's being done here.
Yeah, and Dana's going to make the offense work. I mean, he's going to have to change things if Dillon is not taking the snaps. The routine plays for TJ Lateef, true freshman, are going to look different than what they would for Dylan. But he's been there before, and if needed, he'll have to find a way. It would change the expectations just for what you think about the offense, no doubt. Okay, if that was a repeat, my apologies. From Jake in Fremont, I thought you had an opportunity for discourse when Connor mentioned on the August 21st show that Emmett Johnson, this is last Thursday, could probably take what's given to him and be 1,000-yard back. Mitch immediately said, if Emmett gets to 1,000 yards, then that's not necessarily a great thing for the team, because having a three-headed monster with two other backs getting some action and keeping everybody healthy or fresh is the way I meant it, would be better. Jake takes issue with this. What? He says, I think if Emmett gets to 1,000 yards, then that means he stayed pretty healthy. Good point. As Connor said, it's been since 2018 that Nebraska last had a 1,000-yard back. If Emmett gets there, I think there are still lots of yards out there to be gained by others.
I'll let you respond to that. I mean, considering I think it's your take that he's taken a problem with here.
Right. Okay. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say that I think the best place for Emmett Johnson to be at the end of the year is in like the 800 to 850 range, where he's not getting 20 carries a game. If you want to be in position to beat Iowa, to play in whatever the postseason might have for you, maybe it's the college football playoff. Nebraska is a trendy, popular pick these days for the college football playoff, even if it's not. And you're coming down the stretch and you have games against Penn State and Iowa to finish. I want full speed Emmett. I want like the Emmett at his best. And if he's run for 1,000 yards, I just don't know if he is the guy that is going to be at his healthiest, if he's had to be that much of a workhorse. Yeah. So I think the best case situation for this team is that he's close to 1,000. He's stayed healthy. And then you've got Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey and maybe even Quentin Ives, or we haven't heard about Vince Genatone in the last week or so, but in the middle of camp, they said that he could be a guy who was a short yardage back. So some combination of other backs who have like the same amount of yards as Emmett put together.
I also think you have to add in his all-purpose yards too. I mean, he's going to be a factor out of the backfield.
Right.
So he'll take some hits and carry some load in that direction as well.
Yeah, we're just talking about rushing yards here.
Yeah, that could add to your point. But he could be a 1,200, 1,500 even all-purpose guy. But I think your point, Mitch, is the more volume he gets, maybe that ends up being an area where Nebraska feels like it could get some of those yards to some other guys and take some miles off of Emmett.
Some of this is just reflective of the way that college football works and pro football works with running backs today. Like they take a beating.
Here's John on Twitter. I think we all believe the upside of Elijah Pritchett is the highest of all the players listed at left tackle. Is there any chance Nebraska is just sitting on him in hopes to not have him declare for the draft at the end of the season? If he starts and plays, he has early round potential. Now that wouldn't make much sense, would it, John?
No.
No. I don't think that would make much sense, because what's the difference in him not being here next year and being really, really good this year, and then not playing here this year and then being really, really good next year? I think you want to.
Would he even be here next year if he doesn't play? Like, you're going to redshirt him? I know he's got 2 years left, but Gunnar Gatula is a sophomore and the starting left tackle right now. No, I think they want to get. I think they want to get the most out of Elijah Pritchett that they can.
No doubt, and he is going to be a factor on this team, no doubt in my mind. He'll play.
I agree he will. Finally, from Blake on X, he says, someone please ask Rule what sparked his physical and health journey and how he feels mentally because of it. I assume it's a, quote, lead by example answer, but I'm curious about the impact stress has had on him in the first 2 years. Thanks. All right. It is your lucky day, Blake. And I responded to you on DM, but I wanted to say this to everyone. There is a story Wednesday morning, this morning, in The Athletic that I have been working on all month. I mean, it's not an epic story, a story of epic length, but this is the story of Matt Rule in the preseason and the offseason about his journey of personal growth. It goes into the podcast. It goes into all of the things that Matt Rule has done to enter year 3 that make this year 3 at Nebraska different than year 3 at Temple in 2015 and at Baylor in 2019. Both of those seasons produced school record tying win totals
Yep.
for those schools. And that is his aim. Well, he's not going to win.
Not going to be a school record, but
yeah, his aim is to repeat that kind of success. We're not going to put any kind of limits on anything, but they want to repeat what happened in those programs here in 2025. And this talks about Matt Rule being 50 and just taking a new approach on so many things in his life. I did not get him to talk off to the side about his fitness journey, but there is some insight into that, some of which, you may have heard. It's been out there in various places, but I kind of put it all into one. And we have thoughts from Nebraska players and other assistant coaches about how the head coach has evolved and kind of come into this new version, this changed version of Matt Rule to start year 3 at Nebraska.
That's awesome. Check that out for sure on The Athletic. Now, if I'm not mistaken, each of those year 3s at Temple and Baylor produced conference championship game appearances, one conference title, correct?
No, they were both losses. I
Okay.
believe they got the conference title the next year at Temple in 2016. Yeah,
and then he left Baylor after year 3. So conference title appearances would be the consistent theme at the end of that rainbow. All right, look forward to that. Yeah, double-digit wins, and some pretty good statistical outputs, if I remember correctly as well. All right, that is it for us. We will have a game day pod tomorrow, so look forward to that. And then we're into the great unknown. We'll talk to you at some point, probably Friday, and we'll get you a pod certainly before the weekend is out. That is it for us today. Thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen. For your second listen, you can check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith. He's got the latest and the greatest. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.